Hey guys. All right. So let's talk about parts of speech. And the way we're going to do it, instead of me explaining like what is this and what is that, we're just going to use an example. I'm going to give you a sentence and then we'll try to analyze that sentence to see what does that sentence include and then we'll talk a little bit about each part of the sentence, all right? So let's say we have this sentence. Okay? And the sentence reads, John has a gray hair on his head that he that he himself that he himself dyes black and trims daily. Now, there's a lot going on this sentence, so we're going to try to identify what's going on in this sentence, what part of the sentence is, what part of the sentence is what. And the way we're going to do it from small to big. So we're going to try to name every single part of the sentence and then try to group them into what they are inside that sentence. All right. So the first thing that we want to see is John. And John is what we called a proper noun. And we call this a proper noun because it is not just the it's not just the subject, but it's the name of my subject. All right. So a proper noun is exactly that. Is a name. So it's John, it's Luis, it's Peter, it's Mary, it's Julia. All right. So those are proper nouns. The next thing that we have is has, and has represents the verb of my sentence. Okay. Then we have a. A is what we call an article. And there are different types of articles. We have indefinite articles, and then we have definite articles. Let's take a second to see which are those. So first, indefinite articles. Well, the indefinite articles are articles that do not express um, specific things. And in the case of A is an indefinite article. We have two indefinite articles. We have a and we have n. So a and n. And what they do is that they express one object, but object or person, that is, but they are not talking about a specific one. So if I say a gray hair, I'm not talking about a specific hair. I'm just talking about one gray hair. Then we have the definite article. And the definite article is the. And just the opposite as the indefinite article, the refers to specific things. So if I say the room, you should assume that I'm talking about your room. But if I say a room, then you should assume that I'm talking about any room within the school or any room in the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change over here where it says article and I'm going to name it indefinite article. All right? The next word that we have is gray. And gray is an adjective. All right, and an adjective is what we use to describe something. So gray describes the hair. And there are different types of adjectives that we have. And so we'll take a few seconds now to talk about the different types of adjectives. So, all right, so the first type that we have are the regular adjectives. And basically, if you want to know what a regular adjective is, just think of an adjective when you change it into the comparative form. If you can put er to transform the adjective to comparative, then it is a regular adjective. For example, small is a regular adjective. Because when you say small in the comparative form, you say smaller. Now we have the irregular adjectives. And the irregular adjectives are those adjectives that when you transform them into the comparative form, you cannot follow the same rules that you normally do. You cannot add er. So say for example, good. When you're saying good in the comparative form, you don't say gooder, you say better. You see, it changes completely when you transform it into the comparative form. The other ones that we have are the participial adjectives. And these participial adjectives are divided into present participle and past participle. And the present participle adjectives are the verbs that we transform into gerund. And then the past participle adjectives are the verbs that we transform into past participle. So for example, a present participle adjective could be relaxing, and a past participle adjective could be painted. Okay, now let's continue. The next thing that we have is hair. And hair is a noun, but this time is not a proper noun, but it's a common noun. Now it's a common noun because it is the name of something, but it's not an actual name. So it's something like table, like chair, like window. All right? It doesn't have a name individual to it, but every window is called window and every chair is called chair. So that's what a common noun is. The next thing that we have is a preposition. And prepositions refer to a position of an object in relation to another object. We'll take a few seconds now to see what prepositions are, and I'm just going to draw a little graphic. I'm not going to talk on this part of the video, but I think the graphic should be sufficient explanation about it. Okay, so these are the prepositions, and you should already be familiar with this, so we're not going to talk about that a lot. All right, the next part is a possessive pronoun. All right, and the possessive pronoun are the pronouns that express possession. So mine, your, his, her, our, etc., etc., etc. After that, you're going to start seeing that a lot of the stuff that we already mentioned is going to be repeated. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark those in the sentence. Okay? The other ones that we're missing would be that, and that is a relative pronoun in this sentence. Now we're not going to talk about relative pronouns because that's not part of the program right now. I'm just pointing out that that is a relative pronoun. Then we have he, and he is a pronoun, more specifically a subject pronoun. And a subject pronoun are the pronouns that talk about the person that is performing the action. He, she, I, you, we, etc., etc., etc. Now we have the reflexive pronouns, which is in this case himself. And there are two ways that we can use reflexive pronouns. One is to talk about activities that the person that performs the activity is the person that receives the activity. So, for example, if um, I don't know, if I love myself, it's because I am doing the action of love, but I am receiving the action of love from me. So I would say I love myself. But then I can also use the reflexive pronouns to make emphasis on the fact that the person doing the action is the actual person doing the action, and he's not paying another person to do the action, for example. Let's say, for example, when I wash my car. When I wash my car, I am not the person that is actually washing my car. I go to a car wash and another person washes my car. So if I want to emphasize that at one point or at some moment I am the person that is actually washing my car, then I would say I myself wash my car. So I am making emphasis that the person that in the sentence is doing the action is the actual person doing the action, which is what is happening right now. Himself is making an emphasis that he is the person doing the action. And then we have the connector. In this case, this is a connector of conjunction. For this part of the book, or for this part of the level, we're simply going to talk about connectors of conjunction and connectors of contrast. So that is and or. The very last part that we have is right here, is the adverb. And what adverbs do is that, similar to what an adjective does over here, for example, where the adjective is describing the noun, well, the adverb over here describes the verb. So an adjective will describe a noun, adjective will describe a noun, while the adverb describes the verb. All right? Okay, guys, that's everything I want to teach you right now about part of speech. Talk to you later.